Hey, what's up guys? Tyler here with Secure Team. Thank you all for stopping by. The first bit of news that I want to talk about today is this mysterious new footage that has just hit the net of what some have deemed to be some sort of portal closing up in the skies over Scotland. And if not that, well, we don't know. Possibly some sort of strange hovering light sitting within the clouds, something from below shining up. But it doesn't really seem like that because, well, as you're seeing here, this is time-lapse footage. So this mysterious light sitting in the sky was uploaded by YouTube user Mother Nature 444, and there's not a lot of information about it. We don't really know where in Scotland this occurred, other than the user stating that there's, quote, something odd going on in the sky tonight. This was going on for hours until sunrise. And what we have here is a view of the clouds, time-lapse footage up until sunrise. So just before sunrise, the footage stops. It's a 35-second clip. We can see the clouds moving, various aircraft flying over at one point to show just how long this mysterious bluish light emanated from the clouds for hours. And I'm zooming in here to try to get the best shot possible. And it truly does look like, well, something that is outputting a lot of light. It doesn't look to be, one of those spotlights on the ground, because usually with those, you don't get this sort of gradual drifting off effect like you're getting here. If there's a spotlight, someone flips a switch, they turn it on, they turn it off. But this light, as it sat for hours, gradually began shrinking in size, shrinking and shrinking. At one point, we see a plane passing under it, and then nothing. It's like the rest of the dark sky just sort of swallows it up. Now, also in the footage, we can see towards the middle here, another one of these sort of orange lights. We've posted some other videos recently depicting these mystery orange lights, similar to what we're seeing here, but that would appear to be emanating in areas of the sky where there's, no major city underneath, so, we could rule out light pollution, things of that nature, just these strange orange glows. Now, I'm not sure here. This looks like it very well could be light pollution from a distant city, or not, I just don't know. But it seems to say where it is, so I can't say for sure whether it's connected. What is important, though, and what is of utmost interest to me, is this mystery blue light. What is it? Some other things I've noticed about it is that as the light is shrinking and it is dissipating, it's doing so in a manner where you can see the outside edges of the light slowly closing in on it, as opposed to just seeing a light sort of fading away, but at the same time keeping the same size, the same shape, and just slowly being more opaque against the dark sky. This object seems to be shrinking from the outsides in, gradually to where you just have this small single point of light before it disappears altogether. And I want to put the word out, anybody in Scotland, and just everyone, period, let's throw some ideas around and maybe you guys can help me figure out what this is, whether it's natural, whether it's not. The point here is just to investigate strange things, and that's what we love doing. So tell me your thoughts down below, and I'll put the link to the original down and you can check it out and show them some love. Now, in other news, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but a mysterious, what they're calling, well, some have called it a mysterious alien visitor, has been discovered floating or orbiting around planet Jupiter. And I guess the main plain name you would use for it is interstellar visitor, meaning basically that using telescopes, they have discovered what they're calling Jupiter's very first interstellar immigrant, as in an object that is orbiting Jupiter as if it's always been there, but it hasn't. It's not from our solar system. And that from all the data they're showing, it shouldn't be there, but it is. And so this weird quote-unquote asteroid, as they're calling it, and we'll go back to this in a second, be very wary whenever you hear NASA or any of the various space agencies use the term asteroid, because it would seem that in this day and age, asteroid is the go-to term that is synonymous with the way the powers that be would deem a UFO here down on Earth as swamp gas or a weather balloon. So asteroids, you'll come to find, and especially if you've watched the channel, asteroids have become the new weather balloon or swamp gas as it pertains to things found in space as opposed to down on planet Earth. And so this, quote, weird asteroid, although it doesn't seem to have come from our solar system, it came from somewhere else. They don't know where, but what they also have found out is that it's been here for a while. It's been a long-term resident of our solar system. It's been here for who knows how many years. And so this weird quote-unquote asteroid was discovered back in November 2014, and it goes by the name 2015 BZ509. And the object, as we will call it, because I haven't seen any sufficient evidence that it's an asteroid other than that's, well, what the space agency is telling us, okay? All I see here is a vague blur of some sort of object orbiting Jupiter, or sharing the orbit of Jupiter, we'll say. And so this object is really odd, because first, its orbit is retrograde, meaning that the object moves around the Sun in the opposite direction of Jupiter, Earth, and most of the other bodies in the solar system. So while our planet and all of these other bodies, they spin a certain way, this object is spinning the opposite. It's going backwards. And how the asteroid came to move in this way while sharing Jupiter's orbit has until now been a mystery, and this is stated by astronomer Fathi Numuni, who led the new study of this object. And this is basically how they know it's not from here, although it looks as if the object, or well, again, according to the space agencies, the object has been here since the birth of our solar system. If the object was native to our system, it should have had the same original direction as all of the other hundreds of planets and asteroids and space rocks that came from the very same cloud of gas and dust that formed them and our solar system, but it doesn't. This object is going against the grain, and they can't figure out why. Now, if you guys remember, pretty much for all of last year and, half of this year, we were discussing another interstellar visitor that they recently discovered that, it wasn't a resident. It didn't stay long. It flew in from interstellar space, blasted through our solar system, curved around, and then exited just as quickly as it came. And that was the discovery of this very mysterious needle-shaped object, which if you're a regular subscriber, you'll know we've analyzed and discussed and shared our suspicions about said object, because everything about it just screamed, and I'm not trying to be crazy here, but it screamed craft, not interstellar asteroid, as once again, they called that object. Remember a second ago, I was talking about this term asteroid, and how NASA and these other space agencies, they will publish a story about one of these unexplained, extremely mysterious objects, whether it's passing through the solar system or has been a long-term resident. And without fail, they will call it an asteroid or a comet. And I've heard stories in the past by NASA where they will say, we have this strange object here. It doesn't have any characteristics of an asteroid or a comet. It doesn't share a coma or a tail of a comet. It doesn't have the chemical makeup of an asteroid or a comet. But anyway, let's get back to talking about this mystery comet. You know what I mean? Like everything about this object or one of these objects will be totally opposite and contrary to what a typical asteroid or space rock is, and yet they will still, without fail, say, well, we don't understand it, but it's an asteroid. And that's what they did with this mysterious, bizarre pencil or needle-shaped object that isn't like any other asteroid. We've never seen an asteroid shaped like this object before. The high metal content of the object, the speed, the fact that it used our sun basically as a slingshot to send itself back out into space, much like you would think you would do with a spacecraft attempting to conserve energy, where you'd put it into this dormant tumble, much like this object used the sun's gravity to push it back out into space, which is exactly what this object did. So is this object that is doing everything opposite of what a typical asteroid in our solar system would be doing, is it just a rock or is it something more? We don't know. It has been here. It came here at some point and parked itself within the orbit of Jupiter and has been here for billions of years. Now, that immediately rings alarm bells for me, in that, one could think of a scout ship or a satellite from somewhere else, that was sent to observe the creation of the solar system. It certainly, and with all of the evidence of mysterious visitations that we've shown here on the channel, would not surprise me. And again, I guess only time will tell, but suffice it to say, you keep an open mind and you don't swallow everything the space agencies feed you whole. Because not everything in our solar system is an asteroid. Not everything is a space rock, and not everything can be easily explained so that you will go on about your happy day not giving it a second thought. That's exactly what they want you to believe. And while I'm not saying that there's any evidence that this is, some alien spacecraft, what I am saying is that life and space in the universe truly is stranger than fiction, as we've come to find out, and that many of these theories truly are not as unbelievable and out there as some would have you and want you to believe. So, lastly today, before we go, as you know, we've been talking about these mysterious booms and rumblings happening around the world recently, and yet again we have another strange story which is even more bizarre, because unlike some of the other stories we featured where people will hear these loud bangs, these flashes of light in the sky, their homes will be shaking. We recently posted the new images coming out of Texas where the ground, the concrete, actually cracked across after this massive rumble was heard and this loud, sonic boom had occurred in this small area of Texas. We now have this story here where literally a hole appeared in the ceiling of someone's home located in Lincoln, Nebraska. So according to the story here, put out by NBC6 News, first there was this loud boom, the rest is a little fuzzy, which reads, quote, "Fire chased a Lincoln family from their home Saturday, leaving a mystery and a gaping hole in its wake. Fire crews were called to the 7100 block of Southampton Road around 6:30 a.m. Battalion Chief Leo Bennis said the family had been awakened earlier by a loud boom, but couldn't find anything wrong with the house. It wasn't until later that the smell of smoke got their attention, and they called the fire department and evacuated. Bean said that the initial thinking is that a lightning strike might have been the culprit, but that's still just speculation, and apparently some of the evidence on the outside of the house isn't linking up with a lightning strike. And so the mystery still looms. Authorities say that they were able to save a significant portion of the house, but there's still a lot of damage. Thankfully, no one was hurt. This is like one of those stories that's just weird. It's bizarre. And furthermore, I've also received emails from people in Lincoln, because usually when one of these booms happen, I will get a flood of emails from people, whether it's featured by the local news or not, people who have heard it and corroborate it. And so likewise, I got a number of emails from people in the area who heard what they described as a sonic boom, shaking of homes, and then suddenly this appeared, where we have this news story showing an actual hole in the ceiling of the house. And you'll notice, looking at this image, we don't see any burn marks around the edge of the hole. We can even see some wires stretching across the middle of the hole here. And so it doesn't jive with a lightning strike to me, and it's an extremely large hole. My another thought was, well, maybe someone had snuck in, and was up in their attic, and maybe they fell through the ceiling. But again, I looked at the hole and I said, well, that hole is much too large. And another thing about it was just how perfectly circular the hole is, from what I can tell from this image. And could this have been, and I'm just spitballing here, could this have been caused by some sort of phantom energy wave or energy pulse, where you don't actually have to have a projectile to create damage, but by simply using energy, such as we have with lasers and things of that nature, where you can create damage without leaving any sort of evidence of what caused said damage. Again, that's just a theory, but it is strange. So big thanks to the viewers who emailed me about this, as well as sending me a link to this news story. It's interesting. So we'll continue to follow these mysterious booms, this underground shaking being felt from one end of the country to the other and around the world again. So, I think definitely you guys should follow along with me as we continue to investigate. This is a very interesting and bizarre story. And it's not something, that I've just concocted for the channel or that I am over sensationalizing. This is a real phenomenon. The flashes of light, the mystery booms, the ground cracking, people's homes shaking. This is a real thing, and I think we've done an amazing job on the channel to map out this phenomenon and follow it and try to put the pieces together. So stick with me right here. If it's strange news happening on our planet, off our planet, you guys can be sure to find it right here. So stay tuned, give me your thoughts, and I'll see you back in just a bit.